Alright, welcome back to the shop. So today we got a pretty interesting tool. This is a Milwaukee threaded rod cutter. Is Milwaukee part number 2872-20. There we go. There's the tag on it if the camera focuses. And what this does is it cuts threaded rod, thus being a threaded rod cutter, or bolts or anything like that. It's a very basic function tool, a go trigger and a idiot reverse button here. So the go trigger, you hold it until it runs its full cycle and it backs itself off automatically. Or if you get into it and you want to stop and come back, it'll do that too. So that's good if you have an moment and need to back the tool up because it's pinching something or it's in the wrong spot or anything like that. They got that covered. So you can see there's also a light up your work area, which is probably going to be nice if you're in some deep dark tunnel somewhere working on racks. I can see where that would be handy, and it's a nicely lit. It lights the area up here by the dies quite nicely. The dies themselves they cut 3 different sizes. There's 2 3/8 cutting spots and a 1/2 inch. We'll take the dies out then and look at it. But they're bolted in here, and this is like a metal casting. The plastic housing is pretty nice. It's got a little bit of rubber on it down here. This is actually plastic here. And it has these feet so you can set it on a table or bench like I just did previously. They give you ample amount of room to get your finger under there when it is on the bench. So operation is really no big issue. This doesn't really have a high current draw, so we just have a low amperage battery on it, and that's fine. What else can we say about this? It cuts rod pretty well. We can take a look here. I have a scrap piece of threaded rod, and we'll just not throw it everywhere. We'll put it in here. I'm getting pretty short with this thing, so I was playing around with it. So let's just get it in there. Nah, we'll cut it with something else. We got a grade 8 bolt. This says it should be good for regular steel like this and stainless. So what we'll do is we'll stick this in here and we'll see if it cuts it. Like nothing. Sheared it right off. And it starts very nicely on the 1/4 20 wing nut right here. Both sides are sheared quite nicely. You can see that. Now that did make it grunt a bit more than what this all thread does. So what I'll do is we'll put just one thread past on this all thread and we'll run it up. And you can tell that barely makes it work at all. Whereas the grade 8 fastener, you could definitely tell it had some working to do there, but it did it. And there you can see we started that, no problem. And let's see if I can get that sliver out of there. And that is a pretty small cut. So this is a good tool for trimming. I'll just show that again. It's a pretty small cut, so if you're off a little bit on your measurements and you need to make a small trim, you know, that's a good option for you. It's a nice tool for that. The dimensions here, let's see, put it like this. Dimensions for the clearance to top is basically 1.5 inches or somewhere around 3.5 centimeters. So if you're working a whole bunch of racks or something like that, and you have your rods hanging down, you know, 1.5 inches is decent. 3/8 hardware or 1/2 inch hardware you know, you're gonna, the nuts are a little bit large, and you normally have washers and lock nuts and all that other stuff. So you can just butt this thing right up against the top there, and shear away. Everything will be the same length, and it'll look nice when you're done. So give me a second here. I'll get the dies out. We'll take a look at them. They do have a Allen wrench stowed on the tool. It's kind of loose in here. It's not. It doesn't stay the greatest. I think in the trade, in the field, I think the Allen wrench would probably get lost. I just know how guys are, and chances are they get lost anyway. But give us a second, and we'll get the dies out and take a closer look at them. Alright, so we got the dies out here, and we could see that the 1/4 inch where it had sheared, there's the bottom mark of that one, and here's the top of the other. They'd wear in. They just basically go like this over each other, and they look like they're pretty well made. Let's see how hard they are. File doesn't skate completely across, but it does not dig in significantly. So I'd say these might be hardened. I don't know if they're high-speed steel or what they're made of, but they are definitely, I mean, we cut that grade 8 bolt, and they're not really showing a whole lot of wear that is anything other than what you would expect. I mean, you would expect a piece of metal to drag across there a little bit with that, and we made the small cut after the grade 8, so we didn't damage these dies at all. So these dies are heavy duty enough for what you need them to do. You can see we have 1/4 inch, we have 3/8. I might not be setting these right. Here's 1/2 inch, 1/2 13, and these are both 3/8 16. There's two sizes of 3/8 16. I'm not quite sure exactly why, but that's what they did. So we tested out the 1/4. I think cutting grade 8 is a pretty good test for the fastener, and it definitely did that. You can see they do have these timed. There's two dots on this one and 1 dot on this one, and that corresponds to, on the tool itself, I don't know if you guys can see it, but on the tool itself, somewhere I saw it, there we go, there's 2 dots, probably can't see it, 2 dots there, and 1 dot up top here. So that's the orientation of the dies when you put them in, and that's really it. I mean, it looks like they have a decent mechanism here. Looks like a piece of felt there for that to rotate on. It's all greased very well. It feels pretty robust. This appears to be cast iron or something like that, so the jaws are nice and heavy to hold these dies, which is something that you would want for sure. I can say that the fastener here is metric. It's M6, and they do sell metric cutting dies, so if you wanted that, you could definitely order yourself some metric cutting dies. I did not order any yet because I don't have any metric fasteners to cut, but I think this is mainly geared towards, you know, all thread and what have you, so this thing's gonna effortlessly cut a whole lot of all thread. Us doing the grade 8 fastener here is a little bit of an extreme test on it. but it certainly did it, no problem. Sheared it very well. The cutoff piece is a nice, no wicked burr on either side, really. I mean, it's a nice cut. So I think this tool is great for a market. All thread is very soft. You could see the difference. This had an audible pop when we cut it, because when it sheared it got too, there was a lot more energy that it took to shear it. And this thing, the tool just runs through full stroke like it's doing nothing. So there we have it. I don't think there's a whole lot else to say about this. It works great, does what it's supposed to do, and I think it'd be pretty handy out in the trade, especially building lots of racks when you have a lot of fasteners to cut, all thread and stuff like that to cut down after you assemble a whole lot of racks, and the rod lengths are all different at the bottom. So pretty nice tool there. Even making up racks, cutting a whole lot of rod. Anytime you're cutting a whole lot of all thread or rod or anything like that, a tool like this would really shine and be handy, because you can cut the stuff with a portaband or what have you. A lot of guys will use a circular saw too, but your cuts kind of get a little jagged. Now a portaband you can get decent with, but you always have that little sliver you got to trim. So you can do it other ways, but it's a pretty nice alternative, I gotta say. So there we go. I hope you guys enjoyed. Not a whole much else to say on this one. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Like butter every time.